All right, so you have some suspicion and maybe some really strong evidence that your partner is having an affair, and you want to go ahead and confront them with the evidence and find out whether it is all true. That's a good idea, although I'm not so comfortable with the word confrontation, but we'll go with it for now. It's a good idea to not just allow this to fester within you, but to actually bring it all out in the open. However, I need to give you some support in terms of some guidelines and frameworks, things that you need to think about before you go ahead and bring this all out, and then the best way of approaching it when you do. So let's get into it. All right, so you've got all this information. Maybe you've seen something, heard something, somebody sent you something. Maybe it's a series of things that have happened that has led you to this conclusion. Absolutely, you have a right to go ahead and present this to your partner and confront them with the information that you have or your suspicion. But before you go ahead and do that, I want you to think about a couple of things. Number one, it's so important that you get clear on what it is you actually want. What do you want? Do you want to find something out? Do you want to confirm something? Do you want to check evidence? Do you want an absolute acceptance? What do you want? Get absolute clarity on that. Second thing is just seek the truth directly. Don't go around the houses. Don't try and play games like, so where were you on the 9th of the 8th of such and such, right? Like, don't play those games. Just ask them directly, look, I have evidence that on the 8th of September, you were doing such and such and such. Is that true? Right? Just get straight to it. Don't try and trip them up. The third thing that I really want you to do before you go full on into this confrontation is to cool down. Right? Just take a moment, take a day, take whatever time you need to just get your emotions as much in check as you possibly can. Your mind's going to be racing all over the place anyway. And what you don't want to do is to just go in and allow your emotions to take control right from the get-go. So try and do this when your emotions have come off the high peak a little bit and have mellowed somewhat. And number 4, one of the easiest ways to help you really get your points across is to write it down. Again, your head's all over the place. So if you're going to rely on your memory and you want to avoid going from here to there, better to write it down so you've got a really clear idea of what it is that you want to talk about and the things that you want to bring up. And it's clear and easy for you to go back to when things start going all over the place, right? So before you actually confront, they're the things that I want you to think about and consider. Know what you want to find out. Know that you're going to go directly for the truth. You're not going to sort of try and trick them and trip them up. The 3, you're going to wait until your emotions have calmed down. And number 4, might be a good idea to try and write some of these things down before you even start to talk about them, right? Okay, so that's sort of the prep work for the confrontation. And now we're actually going to go ahead and do it. Another set of things that I want you to consider with this, okay? Number 1, you're going to need to pick your time and your place wisely. Pick a place, obviously, that's quiet, that's calm, or you're not going to have interruption. Not when the children are around or they're going to be there hearing this going on. You really want to pick a place that is free of interruption and definitely doesn't have the children hearing all of this. But also, you want a time where you're not too much in a rush. You actually both can give your time into this conversation and not be feeling like you've got to kind of brush over it because you've got to run off to work or he or she's got to go and do something else. Number 2, I would strongly advise you to not do this over the phone or via message. I mean, they could be 2 different points, but let's start with over the phone. You miss so much over the phone. It's not the conversation that you want to have over the phone. You're not going to get any of the other clues, body language, and facial expressions. You're not really going to be able to connect. And it's even worse via messages. You lose all the tone, right? Body language, tone, facial expressions is a large proportion of communication. You definitely want to make sure that you're having this conversation face to face. I'd advise you to stick to the facts. right? It's going to be really tempting for you to go into the gray areas of what you feel and what you think. But I would advise you to stick to what you know, what you've heard, what you've discovered, and talk about the contradiction between maybe what they have said versus what you've heard, or what they told you versus what you've seen, right? Stick on those because they're facts. You told me A, but I saw B. You told me B, but I heard C. So let's talk about that. Let's not go off and talk about any other thing, any other sort of ideas that you might have. And then also ensure that you express to your partner how feeling lied to and feeling like you're being deceived is impacting you, right? So that if, let's say, all of this is, there's a perfect explanation for it, you can still express to them how it's all making you feel so that they can understand that actually maybe I need to change my actions around this so that my partner doesn't have to feel like I'm lying to them or like there's this big deception going on. So let me quickly recap that for you. Number one, choose your place and time wisely, right? We don't want the children running in and out, and we don't want you to be having to rush through this. This might take some time. Number two, don't do it over the phone and don't do it via message. You want to do this face to face. Number three, stick to the facts. What do you know? What have you heard? What have you seen? Stick to them. Don't deviate to, what you think might be going on. And number four, talk about how the lies and deception is making you feel. So I'm hoping that gives you a bit of a framework for how you're going to go about this. I know that it's a really difficult time for you, and I would love you to reach out to me. You can book a free call with me, a free 30-minute call. Let's talk about your situation if you feel that you need more support with this. You'll find the link in the description there. And if this is something that you've had to go through and you have any tips on the best ways to confront the situation, go ahead and pop them in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.